All right. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy.
All right. So it's 6 o'clock, and I think we are ready to go.
Great. All right. So I'll call this meeting to order and start with roll call.
Okay. Member Kenny,
Present.
Member Lewis,
Present.
Member Newton is out, Member Siegel,
Present.
Member Stapleton Gray. Oh, Ross, it looks like we got.
I'm not hearing any audio. You all may be able to hear me, but
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Sometimes maybe if you want to either check your speaker output in Zoom, or maybe you might just need to rejoin, or if you can use your phone, you could call in and we can add you in.
So he can't hear us, but we can hear him.
We can hear him, yeah.
Yeah, but he can't hear us. Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to join again. Chair Winkelstein, you're here?
Present.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And now next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any comments of the minutes from July 26th? Wow, was it that long ago? That's amazing. Comments, additions, subtractions, edits, thing?
Look good to me.
All right, good.
I'll move approval.
Okay, thank you. Second, anybody?
I second that.
All right, thanks. So it's been moved and seconded. Take the vote.
Okay. Member Kenny,
Aye.
Member Lewis,
Aye.
Member Newton, Member Siegel,
Aye.
and well, we'll get to Ross when he comes back. Member DeMatthew, Vice
Aye.
Chair, and Member Winkelstein, Chair Winkelstein.
Aye. All right, thank you. So that passes.
Yep.
The next item on the agenda is public comment, and this is for anybody that's out there. Do we have anybody out there?
We do. It looks like we have one attendee.
Okay.
So
All right.
I forgot to get my timer here together, so I'm just gonna have to do a timer here on my phone real quick.
Okay.
But it looks like we have Jeremiah here with us today.
All right.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everybody. Just let me know when my 2 minutes starts, or three. Is it 2 or 3 minutes?
We'll do 3 minutes tonight. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, everybody. Hey, so I just had a few positive suggestions on ways to make things better. I definitely don't want to come across as, a complaint. That's for sure. I just want to say thank you for attending the Native American flag raising ceremony. I appreciate, you staying in the loop with everything. I also want to add that I've watched Albany TV, and there's not much to really watch. Sometimes it's more of a screensaver. I mean, it's more of just a background screensaver. I mean, it loops the same stuff over and over, and half of it really isn't even, current. A lot of it's old, or I don't know. I just feel like it could be playing a lot more fun stuff. I mean, it could be having clips of, the haikus, every 30 seconds it can show, an older haiku, or I know, I feel there's a lot better way of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on live television, something late at night. Maybe, an hour a day could be associated for Albany, historians or Albany Historical Society. They share some memories every hour, or, every hour, you got something new going on. I don't know, it just seems like we have this service, this whole television show and TV show, and it doesn't even look like we're using it properly. I wish we had almost a news station. So every night at 7 o'clock or something, we could brief on local Albany news. I really wish Albany stepped up our game. I mean, we can have a news reporter, with a microphone going around interviewing local restaurants, or things like that. It's kind of hard for me to see my timer because it's on your cell phone.
Yeah, you got 30 more seconds.
Okay, thanks. So I'm just trying to figure out ways to expand what we have, to use what we got. I don't know if you're still at home, working from home because of COVID, but I can't wait till, we get back downstairs to the community center, start things going. I guess that's about it. Just, I think we need more involvement with the city, more television shows with the schools, and a better use of 24 hours a day. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Anybody else out there?
I'm not seeing any.
All right. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the commission. Committee, sorry. All right, so go to the next item on the agenda is the announcements. Are there any announcements from staff? You have announcements, Jeremy?
I do. I have a few announcements. Yeah, I definitely heard what Jeremiah was saying. I am still, working from home and since we're doing all of our live streams from remote with Zoom, I'm still broadcasting everything from my home. So that is the one thing that really has suffered is the programming on KALB for the television station. It is true. It's showing primarily a bulletin board of information about the city and our satellite information from Free Speech TV. When we do, a number of things have changed. Here within the city, we don't have any other staff to do programming, and I can't do the programming remotely unless I go there on site. So that's something that we have kind of on our plan for building out the schedule for the TV station. Primarily, we've been focusing on all of our, public live streams of public meetings primarily. We did do our first live in-person video production with flag raising. So we went and filmed that, got the audio, and then put that up, on our website to share that particular ceremony. I think that was the first time that we'd been out on location for any events, for 20 months. Some of the couple things I just wanted to mention is that we are almost ready with our camera installation at City Hall. So that is moving forward. We're going to be able to we have the technology in place to be able to resume in-person meetings when the city decides to do that. At this point, we're looking towards, we're ready to do it now with a couple of other additional pieces of equipment, a little bit more testing, but likely it will be in the spring. I don't know if it'll be earlier than that, December, January, but we're just kind of standing by. As you all know, things, change pretty rapidly, with everything that our society is dealing with COVID. So that's going to be exciting, to be able to accommodate virtual participants in public meetings there within the chambers whenever that happens. That's been the primary thing that I've been working on, in addition to launching our new agenda management system that we're all using right now. So we are, streaming with that system. It's connected to our YouTube, and there's been a number of, we've been doing a slow rollout of this, kind of still working with the vendor to iron out a lot of the details. Especially when it comes to a workflow for our city staff, because it's a big change to learn an entirely new process. So the city clerk and I have been kind of the leads on this project in implementing this, what I think is a better system, although there are certainly a number of things that people have pointed out to us that just in terms of layout and design and new technology that I think have not been frustrating, but I think we're still working on different ways to be able to teach people how to use the system in an efficient way. There's a much more robust search possibility, and in my view, it's a cleaner look and easier to find things compared to what we had before. However, not everybody knows how to find those things, so it's a matter of doing a little bit more public outreach with that. And that'll conclude my announcements for now, unless anybody has any questions.
I have a question. The combination virtual and in person, if somebody attends a meeting virtually, that it'll be like sort of similar to the way it is now, in that you won't, if you're in person, people can see who you are. They can see your face.
Mhm.
But with the virtual combo thing, people won't, the public won't be shown, their faces won't be showing, right? It'll just be the faces.
That's correct. That's the way that we're going to continue to use the Zoom webinar product for that. And the way that we don't bring up people from the audience to be on the panel with everybody in the committee or the commission or the council. So everybody will still hear audio and likely see the picture of the person's thumbnail from Zoom, but their camera won't come on unless they're an active participant in the meeting, such as a presenter or somebody who's being called on the committee or the commission to participate or do some level of participation other than public comment.
And so when that happens, there'll be one screen that everybody, like say it's a city council meeting, for example. So there'll be one screen somewhere up that they can all look up and see the name of the person who's speaking. It won't be, they won't each have their individual little thing.
Yeah, well, correct. Yeah, they'll be able to see it on the screen. The feed to the public in Zoom will be our broadcast. So what we used to see with cameras pointing at the council in a wide shot and close-up shots, and will be integrated with Zoom. What's useful for that is people actually in person can join and look at the meeting on their mobile device with their audio off, and they could actually, when there is a screen share, that will be done over the Zoom platform. So everybody will be able to see, close-ups of the documents on their own device, whether they're in the room or whether they're at home. So I'm excited about seeing that functionality be utilized.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Jeremy about all his announcements? No. So
I
I
saw
have an announcement.
okay.
I just wanted to give an update to the committee about Albany Film Fest. At our last meeting, Jeremy reported that we're going to go ahead for 2022, which is good news. So some of us core Albany Film Fest volunteers have been meeting off and on. Going to have to work out a lot of details. What we're looking at is opening for submissions in January, if all goes well, and have those collected so that we could hopefully have an actual film fest the end of 2022, maybe the fall, October, November, somewhere around there. Still a lot to work out. However, just so everyone knows, if you haven't been by the Albany Twin Theater, it has reopened. So it's good to see that is there. And I asked them if they were ready to do rentals, and they are not at this point. But that may change in the next few months, and we'll be keeping tabs on that. So anyway, we're looking forward to a film fest in 2022 and trying to work out all the snags and details.
So will you also be doing sort of a combo virtual, real, whatever, in person?
I think that's the plan. We have, like I said, the details haven't been worked out. So
yeah, but that's what you're hoping for.
Yeah.
And is there going to be a theme?
We're working on.
You're working on it.
Yeah. The submissions can be anything from any filmmaker who puts in a film, but there's also curated films which may have some themes like we've had in the past regarding the environment and social justice, music, those kind of topics.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, it seems like this is a time to maybe have a theme related to what it's like to shut everybody up for years.
We might get films about that.
Yeah, just like, and then also the incredibly disparate effect it had on communities of color and LGBTQ plus community, people with disabilities, all that. It'd be nice to encourage people to look at that. Anyway, All right, thank you for that announcement. Anybody else have an announcement?
I just have a follow-up question. I'm forgetting and just wanted to make sure I remembered this correctly, that anyone can submit a film, correct? For the
That's
film
right.
fest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you, because I'm on the committee of trying to organize with teachers and at Albany High School and Middle. And so I was just wondering if that was okay to broadcast that news to the high school. And if there's anything that you would do in the past for publicizing submission, like checklist, or I don't know if you usually have like flyers or anything like that in the past. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. When we open submissions, we do it via Film Freeway, which is a website everybody sends their film to. And we have it on our Film Fest webpage, and it'll, I imagine, be in the city bulletin. And all the information will be available. And also we have a newsletter, so anyone who is interested in getting all the details is encouraged to sign up for that also. And you can do that on the website.
Awesome.
So when we gear up and open submissions in January, then all that information will be out. Before that, hopefully something will be in the newsletter before that. So,
Okay.
and if there's anything you want to know, feel free to ask.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So will there be alternatives to digital notification, like flyers that could be put up at the?
Usually we have posters of one sort or another. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. We always have posters and open submission posters.
Fantastic.
People don't always see them, but they're.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other announcements? I just feel like there was something else, Jeremy, that you said that I was going to ask you about, but now I don't know what it was. Oh, I was just going to say that the new system, while it's got its issues, it's definitely better than the old system. There's no doubt about it. It was hard to be worse than the old system, however.
True. Yeah. There's not a lot of exciting development in the world of public agendas and content management. So
yeah, but that one was, yeah, it was spectacularly bad. I thought.
Yeah, this one, just so long as one of the main benefits is it connects to our YouTube, so we don't have to do double duty in two different places. And so long as you learn what the eyeball does, when you can find that eyeball, then you can, that'll alleviate 90% of the frustration. So
yeah, that eyeball is very helpful. Yeah. All right.
If anybody needs it, one of the things we've been doing with the other committees is going through that agenda to do while we're still here on the, I can show you a little bit if anybody still feels like they're being lost when receiving that aspect of the agenda. I can show that and walk everybody through it if you feel like that's appropriate. We know we have a short time for the meeting. I don't know if anybody needs to kind of look at that kind of all in person right now.
Does anybody? It's pretty. I mean, you can figure it out. There's like a learning curve, but it's not. At least it exists. The other one, it just like it actually wasn't there. So.
Right. Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out individually, and I'll set up some time to show you how to use it.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. Okay. So then the next is the discussion and possible action on matters related to the following items. So the work plan, so it passed minus one item, which was pretty good considering that, okay, I'm going to say this tactfully because I just realized we're being recorded. Considering that Vice Mayor Jordan decided that our 15 items were really 17 items, because he counted subsections of some of the items as items. So we, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the meeting. Yeah, so, but anyway, it passed except for that one thing. What was the one thing that he took off? Was something.
That was advocating for a full-time PIO.
Yeah, which I didn't really expect to have happen anyway. I don't know about anybody else. I wasn't very optimistic about that. So that was our distraction. We put it on there so we would pass the rest. It worked. Anyway.
Question, Julie.
Mhm.
At our meeting before, when we adopted our work plan to go to the council, I thought it was mentioned that the city now has a halftime public
do.
information officer. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but
at least there is someone in place to hopefully handle some of these communication issues.
But wasn't it explained that they have a lot of different things that they do? Is that even though?
I
Yeah,
think it's not the same job that we were describing.
Yeah,
earlier.
exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's essentially the public information officer for the city is the person who, in the event of an emergency, will likely be the person who will be coordinating all of that for those types of events and be working with me and with kind of the general administration and all of the city departments to coordinate communications, at a city level. So it's not fully dedicated to that position actually is working a lot in economic development, which I think is a good tie-in for the types of the things that the city needs to communicate about. So, and coordinating between the various departments. So having one person kind of as that point of contact will be really helpful.
Okay.
Question.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Your hands
Go
went
ahead,
up.
Naomi.
I just want to compliment Julie on a job well done.
Oh,
I
Yes.
thought that was really difficult and you did a great job.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was so prepared. I think it was because I attend a lot of city council meetings. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew what to expect. I think that helped a lot. I was anticipating. So thank you. Yeah, I was pleased that it got passed without us sending it back.
Mhm.
So, and Jack, what did you want to say?
Yeah, my question, getting back to the halftime public information officer, will that person be able to do any of the communication about city meetings that we have in our work plan? Or is that up to us?
Well, it kind of depends. I think that'll be our conversation tonight in terms of like what CMAC can do. I have a few different options and suggestions that, from things that we've talked about before that I've kind of gone through to see what was possible. And, we can certainly talk about that, but I don't think I'll have to go back and look at specifically which one of those you'd be referring to that would fall under that. But I think it'll be citywide, right? So like we'll be looking at, what types of, communications formats we have right now and what you would like to add or consider and how that would play out.
Okay.
And so you're saying that if we just did that and decided that there were some formats we liked, that we would then bring it up with this PIO and then make suggestions, or?
Not necessarily. It depends on what we're talking about. I think I would be the staff liaison with that to kind of work with the admin department to see what we're doing and what would need to change. But going back to it, what we want to avoid with this, since a lot of these things that were on the work plan are also admin policy types of items for the city that city staff would typically do, we'll have to figure out how CMAC can best advise on those and what the appropriate kind of direction is going to be for all the variety of these tasks. Or I think there's going to be a lot of fact finding and information gathering. I think that CMAC can do, and I think I've got some low hanging fruit suggestions that we could get started on immediately that would probably be helpful for the community.
Right, and that was thank you, Jeremy. And that was what I was going to say is that Jeremy had some suggestions about. So I think if everybody's okay with that, if he puts forward his ideas for how to sort of start on the work plan, and then we can talk about what we think and how we would.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things that have come up. One of the items I'll have to, if everybody has a copy of the work plan with them, I think one of the easiest things that we can look at is getting up to date on our bulletin board system that we use on the one that was being talked about earlier by Jeremiah, that's broadcast on our television station. It's actually a pretty robust system that can have multiple displays in multiple locations. And we use that for some kind of in-house messaging in our city facilities. But it's mostly been either internal for, here's just a copy of what we're playing on our channel, but we'll also play it in the lobby of our facilities. Well, though that entire system is a web-based application with video players that can be distributed in a variety of locations. Basically, it's a little computer that connects to the internet and receives that signal. And I can have as many players in as many locations playing as many different shows, as we have time to create and design. So one of the things that I was thinking about in terms of, it's going to be a challenge to install kiosk type screens, because as we learned, some of those kiosks don't have electricity. I think there's a number of ongoing challenges with digital signage around town, especially for large scale digital signage. And I think budget probably would be an option, would be a hindering challenge with some of the types of touchscreen display, pop-up kiosk in a sidewalk that has digital information. I think that might be a little bit too big for us right now. But a very easy thing for us to do is look at installing either touchscreen or, behind glass box LCD screens that have information that could be displayed on the outside of public buildings that are running 24/7. Since the city has some level of control over what we have in our places, think of maybe something replacing all of those paper bulletin boards at all the city facilities where agendas are. We could certainly create, with some investment in design and time and either contracting or doing it in-house, is coming up with some fairly robust information about agendas on a weekly basis that was one of the challenges about printing paper agendas, is how do you keep up with, new meetings with new information every week, printing copies and getting them all to the different places. And one of the things that I remember, one of the, I think might have been one of the council members who mentioned to me that they're intrigued about chalkboards. I think, Julie, you mentioned that it could be something as simple as chalkboards outside, or it could be, LED screens, mounted on the outside of city facilities that we could, create some content that people could walk up to and easily see what's going on at a moment's notice, and have it looping on a cycle that, if we didn't have a touch screen that people could select things, perhaps we could have an easy enough scroll that, if somebody stood there for 5 minutes, they would get everything that they needed. So that was one of the things that I was thinking about that would be in line with what the committee had discussed as part of the work plan. And it likely could be something that could be deployed within probably less than a year, if not sooner.
If I have a question, and I know other people probably have questions. I just wanted to ask, if there's a touch screen, is it possible for it to speak?
Yeah, and this is where the committee could come in. The committee, tonight is going to be a night, with the work plan where perhaps there are some subcommittees that are created to look at these different options. I have some degree of knowledge about ADA accessible touchscreens, but I don't have all of that information. And perhaps we could create a committee that could really look into what those specific technologies are. Is it a specific type of screen? Is it a specific type of software that feeds every type of screen? Most television screens have closed captions within the box, and that decodes the signal. So I don't know if there is sort of like reader information on screens, or we would have to get additional equipment to make it, accessible for people either with hearing impairments or visual impairments, or, whatever the ability challenge is for that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ross, did you have a question? No. Okay, any comments or questions as this is, so this is one of the things that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that that we're looking at. The other thing that stood out to me that, I spent a lot of time with city meetings, and I was thinking that we might, or that the committee might consider some sort of delegate program for commissions and committees where the city could get behind encouraging, or I don't want to say mandating, but assigning different committee members to other committees, right? Like where, say, Jack Kenny, has an interest in climate action, and he's the representative of CMAC that attends climate action meetings. So, because we have all these challenges with the Brown Act, but during the course of a public meeting, any members of committees can attend those meetings and weigh in on what their committee is working on that may, have some overlap. Talking, in terms of economic development and film fest, or transportation and planning, or school district and the economic development, right? Like, if there was a way that CMAC could recommend a simple way to get, other committee members assigned and or attending and participating in other meetings, that may avoid having to schedule multiple meetings, where you put two committees together to make those connections. Because I do, many times while I'm, live streaming these public meetings, I hear committees talking about, well, if only there was a way that there would be some kind of communication, right? And that's something that I hear quite a lot, and not just about communication, but about arts, economic development, potholes, right? Like, maybe there's an easy way that CMAC could suggest that the city create some sort of program that would work towards that end.
Any comments on either one of those or other suggestions?
Those are both really great ideas. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I mean, those really come from all of our discussions, but I was thinking about different ways that we could do some of this easily. And since the committee doesn't meet that often, the committee could create some subcommittees, do some work, right on the work plan, and come back with some action items in January, and have some new efforts going forth, in the early part of the year that are in line with, expanding access and communication around the city, while looking at everything else on the work plan.
Any other comments or thoughts about this?
Yeah, I agree. I think that sounds really great. And I wonder if everyone would be, if we could maybe take a vote on if we all want to pick one or two committees to kind of be assigned to, or what something. I feel like what works for me is being held accountable. So if I know I'm in charge of two committees or something like that, then I make sure that I go to those meetings or something like that to help each other.
And I think this is a good part of the discussion, because in my thoughts about this, it doesn't necessarily just mean CMAC going to everybody else, but I'm thinking that the city could make a recommendation or become a part of the advisory body that certain members are assigned to other committees to kind of, carry their like emissaries of climate action to economic development, or emissaries of climate action to charter review, something, where it's appropriate, and where there is like a nexus of information and policies and stuff that they need to talk about.
The American Library Association, which I'm involved with, has task forces, and then one of the members of the task force, for instance, I'm part of the Social Responsibilities Roundtable. I mean, not task force, roundtables. And we have a liaison for different groups like that. Like we have a liaison from the Social Responsibilities Roundtable to the Rainbow Roundtable and to the Environmental Roundtable. And, so we we go and talk about what we're doing, and then we hear what they're doing, and just what you're talking about. And I think it's a really good idea for us to be represented somewhere in particular, but I think also to have people being connected to us who might be not understand how relevant what we're doing or what our committee is to what they're trying to do. So I think it's a great idea.
And also kind of at a storytelling level too, getting back to the public access aspect of what CMAC kind of started with is, okay, well, these are all, everything that's happening at these committees, you know, is of interest to the community, and how can they better share what's going on at their meetings so they increase attendance, have more people participate, and get more voices to be heard in the context of those meetings. Because some meetings have 50 people, some meetings have 200 people, some meetings have, you know, one. So, you know, I think the goal would be to increase diverse perspectives coming to those meetings and sharing their thoughts, as opposed to just the same people with the same thoughts and ideas, you know, at all the same meetings.
Not to be an echo chamber, but I agree with, if we're represented in other meetings and we speak up, then we could potentially draw more than one to our meeting to get better representation. So I'm not sure if there needs to be a second from to Matthew's motion, but I second that.
Okay. So,
Okay, let's clarify what that motion was. Can you,
thank you.
Vice Chair Matthew, could you repeat your motion, please?
Now I'm forgetting what my motion was. I guess it was to take a vote. Well, it's still up for discussion too. Do we want to, because that was a good point, about also we want this collaboration to happen in other committees as well. But maybe we could start by modeling how that works and kind of be the one that experiments with it, and then we can suggest how to do that for the other committees based on our own experience doing it. So I make a motion to have each member choose at least one committee to, I don't know what to call it, be a support or a
Are you talking about being like a liaison or
a liaison? Thank you. There we go.
So
I should mention that this doesn't necessarily need to be a motion. This can just be something that is assigned informally. But since we've had a discussion about this for a while, before we get a chance to wrap up on this part of the discussion, we should open it up for public comment too.
Okay, good point. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I just say something? It seems like we shouldn't just sort of inflict ourselves on other committees without telling them first. Without letting them know like what we're doing. And them in also.
What may be a good idea is for CMAC to create a subcommittee to kind of work out like a draft proposal of what this would look like in some sort of bullet pointed list, call it some sort of thing. And in the meantime, committee members from CMAC could informally attend meetings throughout the next couple of months and talk about community media access and what it's doing, and maybe some of the items on the work plan that are moving forward. That may spawn a little bit of discussion or interest, or so when something is presented next year, that there would be like, oh, that's what this is.
Yeah, Jack.
Yeah, I was just going to say, at least give us time for everyone to become familiar with what the other committees are. And we may not know what all of them are, but looking at the work plan, I mean, it fits right into the one-time actions, the second to last, providing guidelines and recommendations for how CMAC can help advisory bodies work synergistically and communicate effectively with the Albany community. So it's already in there. It's just how we implement it.
Yeah,
I think a subcommittee is a really good idea. I can
Yeah.
work with the details for both of those items that Jeremy brought up. But let's go to public comment. Is there anybody?
Yeah, it looks like we have one hand.
All right.
Okay, Jeremiah, you have 3 minutes, and let's get you going here.
Yeah, good evening. I really like this idea presented for a liaison for each commission. I think that's a wonderful idea because that brings transparency from each commission. So let's say, for instance, you know, we have a SEJC meeting. Maybe there's some highlights from the meeting. You know, maybe the next day or whenever, you know, maybe the liaison from this committee can put some highlights on TV, you know, on the TV channel. Like, you know, there was this big talk on the agenda, you know, about social justice. And, you know, then it could be broadcasted on the media TV station. That way everybody kind of knows what happened at the meeting last night. I think this is a great idea. You know, there's an arts committee meeting, then the whole committee meeting can be summarized into maybe a 5 or 10 minute program, and then that could be televised. Also, yeah, I really like that. And before the meetings, the agenda could be posted, you know, on the TV station. So let's say a commission or committee member like yourselves, you could just flip to Albany TV right now, and you got the agenda right there on TV. But I guess Albany TV, I don't know if Albany TV is playing these meetings, probably on a recap, I guess the following day. I don't know if it's broadcasted live. I think it's just on YouTube live. Correct me if I'm wrong, not sure. But I think this is a wonderful idea, you guys. So nothing's really too official right now. We're still in discussion, but I think it's a great idea for you guys to have subcommittees or liaisons for each commission to bring back a summary of these meetings. I'll tell you what, I sure would love to have a go-to on your committee that I could say, hey, you know, we got this coming up or this coming up. And, you know, we could advertise, like, for instance, every city council meeting, every social justice meeting, during my public comment, I always seem to mention these food banks that's going on. Berkeley Food Network, Berkeley Food Pantry.
Hey, Cheryl, you pick up at West Motor Pool?
And I just think it would be a great idea if this was advertised on our local Albany TV. You could display the times of these food banks and maybe pictures, you know, of me or Albany people at the food bank, you know, of yourself. Like, hey, look at all this food in our hands, or like holding the bags of groceries, you know, like, look, we got $400 worth of free food, you know, something like that. All right, keep up the good.
Thanks, Jeremiah. All right, so are any more discussion about, so what does everybody think about forming two subcommittees, one to talk about the touch screen or other chalkboard, whatever it is, the other alternatives to the digital dissemination of information in Albany, and then the second one would be this, what Jeremy called the delegate program, for whatever, that would be something subcommittee could also talk about, is what to call it, and then what it would look like. And so those two have two subcommittees. What do people think?
Sounds like the way to go.
Yeah, sure. That sounds right. I believe we'll have to create those subcommittees with a vote.
Okay. So does somebody want to move that we have two subcommittees to address these two things?
Sure. I make a motion to vote for, can I do both subcommittees at once? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And a second?
I second that.
All right. That's been moved and seconded. Any more further discussion before we vote? All right. So we'll take a roll call on the vote.
Right. Member Kenny?
Aye.
Member Lewis?
Aye.
Member Siegel?
Aye.
Member Stapleton Gray?
Aye.
Vice Chair DeMatthew?
Aye.
And Chair Winkelstein?
Aye. So the motion passes. So we'll have two subcommittees. So a subcommittee can be no bigger than 3 people. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So let's give them like a name just so we know which ones, what we'll call one of them I don't know, the bulletin board, no, touchscreen committee. I don't care.
Let's go with bulletin board because that's what it is right now. And
Okay.
then if we can do that too, then
Okay.
we'll find out.
All right. Well, so bulletin board subcommittee and then a delegate program, I'll just call it right now. Subcommittee. So we have volunteers for the, how do you want to do this? Do people have a preference? Okay.
Okay.
Naomi.
Yeah, I'd rather do the delegate one.
Okay. And Jack, you had your hand up.
I'd like to be on the bulletin board committee,
Okay.
subcommittee.
Anybody else?
I'd like to be on the bulletin board subcommittee as well.
Okay. And I don't want to take it away from anybody else, so I'll hold back, but that's the committee I'd like to be on too. So, but there's 7 people. We can only have, but somebody's going to be on no committee, right? So I'll just refrain. Okay. Who? Anybody else? Let's see. So
The delegate.
okay, Ross. Okay. So far on the delegate committee, we have Naomi and Ross.
And it doesn't have to be 3. It just can't be any more than 3.
Right. I understand. Anybody else have an interest? We know that you have to, Vice Chair DeMatthew, you have to be on a committee, otherwise you're not going to do anything because that's what you said.
Yeah. Commit.
Yeah, I'll be on the delegate committee, but I didn't want to take, I know that you were interested in it too, so I'm
interested in the bulletin board.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't want to take that from you, so.
But I also am willing to step back or actually move aside, I should say, if somebody else wants to be on the, so far I've got member Kenny and member Lewis on the bulletin board committee, and member Lex Seagal and Stapleton Gray and Vice Chair Matt DeMatthew on so the delegate program, we're done. Anybody, so the only people left that haven't volunteered are because Charles isn't here. That's why it works out. Okay.
Well, look, it looks like there's 3 on the bulletin board with Jack, Julian, and you, Julie, if you want to do that.
Yeah, I was just going to wait to see, but I forgot that he wasn't here. So, okay. All right. Sounds good for now. And then if he's really interested in that one, I'm willing to move aside and I can't contact him directly, right?
I can reach out, but I think this is good moving forward. I think that looking at this work plan, there's going to be other committees that need to there'll be plenty of other opportunities for other, work to be done.
Okay, great. All right. So we have 2 subcommittees, and we'll leave it up to the subcommittees to decide who's going to be in charge of scheduling your, however you want to do it. Just
since these are pretty specific, likely I'll meet with each one of these committees, and we'll do it. I'll set up a time, or we can communicate as a committee about this. We'll set up a time to meet, likely over Zoom, and then we can get started, and I can give you more detailed, specific, and formal information about specifically, with the bulletin board, or perhaps some pointers on how we might be able to create something for delegates that would work with kind of existing city advisory body structure.
Okay, that sounds great. And I'm happy to, I don't know how it would work, maybe get it to Jeremy, but if there's any information I could provide based on what I see at an ALA, the American Library Association, in terms of how that's been working for years. Yeah. Which seems to work very well.
Yeah, just go ahead and send that to me, and then I can provide that to the subcommittee.
Okay. I can do that. Just have to write it down. Okay. Wow, we're so efficient.
CMAC was voted most efficient committee. What was that, 2008, something like that?
Is that partly because they never met? Is that what?
No, if we were meeting then.
Oh, okay. Right. Because that would be the ultimate efficiency, is just don't meet at all. Doesn't use any staff time, doesn't use, like, it's just like so efficient that it's not there at all. All right, any other comments about these or any other thoughts about the work plan as we move forward? Are you happy with just starting with 2 things and then going from there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, then I guess we're done with that agenda items. So future agenda items. Anybody have anything they want to put on the agenda for the future?
Julie,
Yes.
just looking at our work plan, which even though it's only 15 items is a lot, and we meet quarterly, I think we ought to discuss whether we should change the meeting times per year. Just seems like we've taken on a lot, and it's going to be difficult to accomplish much of that meeting quarterly. So I know it was something the council wanted a few years ago. They thought that we had meetings that we weren't meeting regularly. We didn't have enough people on CMAC, and that they thought having a quarterly meeting basis would make us more efficient and we could accomplish things. But I just see us having a lot on our plate, and I'm not sure how the quarterly meeting will work with that.
I know this came up when we first started meeting, and we had I think 1 or 2 special meetings because of that. Jeremy, is there any way that we could do, is that something we go to city council with, to say that we would like to have a more regular, more like maybe meet every 2 months instead of what's quarterly? Every 3 months? Yeah.
Every 3 months.
Yeah.
Yes, every 2 months or every 1 month or every 6 weeks or whatever. Anyway, is that something? And I know that you had talked about how it's pretty hard to schedule more things because of the staff time and the calendar.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of things. Yes, to answer the first question, council would have to make that decision. And I think I'd have to confer with the city clerk about the process, but I imagine I think that would come as a vote from CMAC, and then that would go to council to approve, and then it would come into play. I think that would be what the process is, but I would have to, check with the city clerk to make sure that I understand that correctly. Back when things happen in person, now that there's a couple of things that work right now. Yes, there are very few free extra days, and alternate Mondays for the meeting schedule are booked with a new committee, I believe. So I think the CMAC's quarterly meeting makes it possible for other committees to meet during that time. But I'll have to go and check that too. For me as the staff liaison, yeah, that will be difficult. We can make it work, but when we go back in person, since I'm the only person on staff right now, I will not be able to attend a meeting while streaming it, unless we update our staffing. And it is, I've got the meeting running in the background right here, so it is a particular technical challenge in order to do this, and I do appreciate only having to do this every few months.
So in terms of, I just like Jack, and this might, anyway, in terms of doing that, we can't make a motion tonight because it's not on the agenda, right?
Correct.
Okay, but we could put it on the future agenda, Jack. Is that what you were saying, Jack, that you'd like to get?
Right. I would just like to get the sense from the whole committee how we feel about this issue, and discuss what the alternatives are. Maybe we have to prioritize the work plan more if we only have a limited number of meeting times. So
well, the good thing that we've seen
I would like
tonight,
to have that up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll add that to agenda, and we could also add in special meetings, right, Jeremy? So that, and do they have to be on a Monday?
No.
Okay, so
so
let's put that on the agenda.
Staff, we do try to make meetings happen at a time where the public can attend easily. So given that there are not a lot of other evenings, CMAC is a little bit easier because it starts at 6 o'clock and goes till 7. So you probably could fit before some of the other meetings that start at 7, especially when, we did the special meetings that started at 5 or 5:30. But I don't think, unless it was something that was going to either go for a really long time or be super urgent, that meetings should start any earlier than that.
Okay. And is it possible for, I don't know if I know this may sound like a discussion, but is it possible for there to be some sort of intern or somebody that could work with you, that would be somebody who's learning the skills that you have?
We, once we get back, we will address the staffing issue. It's just, there have been priorities with other aspects of what we're doing within the department and specifically with KILB. So we do have staff available. We just haven't, there's a new camera system and there's a new range of technology that we'll be implementing. So it's going to take some time to get them caught up.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. All right. Any other future agenda items? I guess, thank you, Jack. That was I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's an important issue. Any other?
Well, one of the things I'll mention, I meant to say this in my announcements, but I can announce it because it will be happening at the next meeting, is I will be ready with the quarterly reports on our social media stats and our communication stats. I just needed a little bit more time to prepare the format and gather all that so that I can present it in a way that's easy to understand. So we'll be starting that in January.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. So that'll be on the agenda too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the other items would be reports from the subcommittees.
Reports from the subcommittees, and then other items on the work plan that should be looked at. But I say congratulations, committee. You got a work plan and you already kind of started in on two of the items. So CMAC is pretty efficient when you actually have a work plan.
It was also said that we were the most enthusiastic. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know that. Who said this? When was it?
It was said at your meeting where you presented.
Oh, really? It was. I didn't remember. That was so.
Well, there was a consultant that worked with the city to kind of shape the advisory bodies back in either the late aughts or the early, I don't know, 2008, 9, 10, 11, something like that. And there was a report that was produced, and CMAC was called out specifically for its efficiency and enthusiasm.
I believe she said we were fun.
Yeah.
Wow, what a compliment.
Really?
All right. Any other things to add to future agenda items, or any other comments before we close? We are efficient with this.
Yeah.
All right. So our next meeting is January 24th, unless we have a special meeting, which I guess we could schedule. How does that work?
Well, you and I will look at that if there's something that needs to happen before that. I know that November is going to be very busy for there may be some options in early December, but I think November is pretty full right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. So so that's our next meeting right now, scheduled for January, our next regular meeting, January 24th, 2022. Hard to believe it'll be in 2022. Is that it? So I guess the meeting is adjourned.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Everybody. Bye.